All right, good morning. You're welcome. Jeremy Ratchford is back, my therapist, among other things, an absolute legend. Recently lost a couple friends of his, including Gene Hackman, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Someone you worked with, someone you spent time with. But today, we're talking about a Hackman adjacent actor, Clint Eastwood, in the epic movie Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly! What the hell are you doing here?
Looking after the colonel, that's what.
Shoot him and let's get the hell out of here.
Shoot him, we don't get the gold.
What gold?
Proposition. Thought you might be interested in helping me out. I want you to set up a barrage for me.
If you whisper one word about the gold to these guys, I'm gonna have you bounce from this outfit so fast your feet won't even touch the ground.
Okay, Kelly. What is it? I want the intelligence report for this whole sector, and I need them in the next 2 hours.
That's nice. What's in it for me?
It's behind enemy lines.
I got 3 Shermans outside.
His name's Oddball.
A Sherman can give you a very nice edge. These are my boys. It's still up. No, it ain't.
Look, baby, I'm kind of hung up. I need about 60 feet of bridge.
Listen, kid, they haven't got you back in the nut ward again, have they?
I don't need you. 60 feet of bridge I can pick up almost anywhere. Schmuck.
All right. I need at least 100 guys. Where do I find 100 men just like that?
Loud call better show up, Kelly.
Come on, let's move it up.
But my hair is still curled.
Oh, sure, get out. Rupture yet with this thing. Hey, nobody said anything about schlepping his 30 caliber machine gun all over the country. I'll make it $50 if you carry the machine gun, huh?
Fire! I thought you said 3 Shermans. Those nuts have brought half the army with them.
What is this? Hey, what is this, a ball game? Who are these guys?
My friend, okay?
And who's that bunch of refugees over there?
The band.
The band? What do we need a band for?
Have a little paint, fat gang. They're beautiful people.
You see, we're just a private enterprise operation.
Those freaks! That ain't an army, it's a circus.
It could be the perfect crime.
Well, and it also fits into one of our recent amazing finds of Telly Savalas.
Yes.
Who loves you, baby? You're beautiful.
Bill Burr, yeah, he's a big Kojak fan. Huge.
And he talks, he was on, was it Conan or somebody like that? But
Yeah.
he talks about he and his kid watching Kojak. And you and I have been recently digging that show, baby.
Yes, yes.
Ciao, baby. But I think I just watched the episode he was talking about. He talks about his kid, 7 years old. They're watching it, and they're chasing this suspect. And Stavros, Telly Savalas' real-life brother,
Yes.
who's very heavy-set, and he's chasing after him. And he said that his 7-year-old thought it was funny because it's just like, and they milk it. They milk it for all the, at the end, he's like, the one guy jumps over a puddle and he stumbles his way through.
Yeah.
But it was, I took a screenshot. I think it's season 5, episode 7, and it's something like.
Is that the episode Bill Burr was referencing? Do you think?
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah.
And,
Stavros doesn't get in a lot of foot chases.
no,
And Burr said this went down an alley. So there's your location.
well, and this was because I've been watching. I've been watching it fairly regularly. This episode, season 5, episode 7, all of a sudden Crocker, and there's a love triangle with the femme fatale. She's got
Hmm.
old relations with Ellie. She's married to a mob boss. The mob is
course.
involved. The chauffeur's involved. And then
Yeah.
Crocker starts falling for her. And he and Savalas have this weird, like, all of a sudden it went from, the usual opening is you see whatever the crime is. And as soon as you see the crime, all of a sudden, woo! It cut to the Buick, firing down that brown, ugly Buick that Telly drives. This one doesn't start that way. There's a setup murder. You see everything going on. But it just got so melodramatic. It was an episode unlike any other episode I'd seen of the show. And I was like, that's when you sit there kind of going, having been on a show, having worked in the business for 30 years, it's like, who gave the notes on, all right, we're going to change things up and we're going to go this way? It's like wild.
I appreciate them having the dynamic to think and actually execute change up, because some people won't. But I will. What Jeremy is alluding to, that again, those listening, you're welcome. We've rediscovered Telly Savalas, so in some cases you don't have to, or in some cases you're going to want to, because Telly Savalas unlocked a lot of gold, and I don't know how I knew who he was my whole life, and I'd seen him in All Right Dirty Dozen, and I had seen some Kojak when I was younger, but I didn't have a full appreciation of the Telly. That guy is absolute magic when he gets going, and very convincing. And in this movie, he's perfectly cast. He is perfectly cast as Big Joe.
If I hear any more threats against Captain Maitland's life, if I hear any more wild talk about going down to headquarters and killing the general, or raping the nurses at the field hospital, I'm going to strangle a guy with my bare hands. You understand that? Now, all good things come to those who wait. We're going to have a lot of fun here. Are we, cowboy?
You can bet your boots on that, partner.
Sergeant, partner.
Right, Sarge.
All right.
Joe?
Yeah.
I think I've got the crabs.
We're going to boil our laundry. We're going to set up a little shower area so we can wash our cute little bodies. Right, Barbara? Shut up! Shave. A little wine, women, and song. A little chiquita for you, Pachuca, okay? It's going to take a little time to get organized, but I want that farmhouse to look like a nightclub. Little Joe, I want you to set up a bar.
We ain't got no booze.
We ain't got no booze. Well, we're going to get some booze. Now, I'm going to go down to Battalion, see if I can lay my hands on some dirty movies. And when I come back, I want that farmhouse not only clean, but completely decorated. Do you understand that? All right, Corporal, fall out. Let's get moving.
Tears for all who loved her. I went to the actual episode on IMDb.
That's the Kojak episode, huh? Good.
Kojak episode.
So what we're talking about, too, in addition to Kojak, because as you know, Ratchford and I love to relive and break down Kojak episodes, and we've done a couple, and we will do several more. Kelly's Heroes, this is one of the ultimate script setups. This is a great movie design. Even before, I mean, they've done the Dirty Dozen, and they've done movies like this that were blueprinted in similar fashion, either with a mission or with a heist. But this one, for some reason, it clicks really well. Even the music, which is completely out of place, and Donald Sutherland's performance, which is also completely out of place, it doesn't take me out of the movie. I'm still buying it. I'm still buying, even when they threw in, I mean, that song that opens the movie has got to be connected to the movie, to the studio somehow. And I don't know how. I think that, what's that, is it the Mike Curb congregation or something? Somehow that's a studio plug-in. We can all sense it. But I don't know how it's plugged in or why. But there's no way the filmmakers thought, what would really open this movie is this song. That is definitely, I think, the studio call for whatever reason. We will ultimately, somebody in the comments will educate us or think they're educating us, I'm sure. But that doesn't even take me out of the movie. What do you make of this movie, Ratchford, with this cast?
Sorry, I was looking for my notes because I just remember one thing that I absolutely loved. It's it's Sutherland's right-hand man, Captain Stubing.
Yeah.
He says, can you do that? It's like, whatever, baby. He's just so But when they introduce those guys, it's crazy.
Yeah, they perfectly cast
yeah,
those guys too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the perfect heist movie. And it's yet another example. I've said this before, but I always feel Clint Eastwood's in a different movie. You got Don Rickles, and Don Rickles is hysterical because they just kind of let him go. But whenever you cut to Clint, it's just sort of like he does can we drive there? And like Don Rickles is all over the map, and he just always kind of, well, there's a chair. And it's just like, okay, everyone else is kind of playing up here.
It is interesting because there are some logistical moments where they have to work a few things out, and some of these personalities get in on it. And there's like Donald Sutherland's character, Clint unrolls a map and he's like, we're going to need a lot of gas for this mission. And he's like, do you think you can get it and meet us behind enemy lines? And he's like, you just named the place, baby. Like, it's like that's the ultimate sum of the meeting. Like, you just name the place and we'll be there. Oh, it's all right. Or I'm buying it. Like, I get everything in this. And I love the fact that they use the war setting for the heist because these guys have nothing to lose anyway. They're being shot at every day, all day. So they might as well get something for themselves out of it. And hey, light up a few enemy regiments while they're at it. So the background's perfect, but of course, it hinges on secrecy, which none of them could adhere to. He's like, don't tell anyone. I don't want any friends or any friends of friends or cousins of friends. And of course, they need like engineers. And they have blown bridges and all this real obstacle shit that you would probably encounter. And they're like calling back to base and being like, hey, where am I going to get 200 people to rebuild the bridge? And there's like a marching. The whole thing is laid out with magic. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take it away from you. Go.
No, but it's the same. It's the Donald Sutherland going, hey, look, the bridge is up, baby.
Yeah.
It's still up. No, it ain't.
Then that's the call. We need 60 feet of bridge. Okay. Here's one thing I was rewatching it because it's like, again, it's so farcical, and you got Don Rickles going off, you got Sutherland, you got all these like crazy stuff, and then it gets really fucking violent. Like when they go through that first town, they've got Telly's brother Stavros was supposed to bomb the town that they're going to go through, and as they're going through that town, they're murdering everybody there, all the soldiers. It's quite a lot of lives just to get through this town, which I was like, wow, this isn't kind of funny.
No, and they did not shortchange the atmosphere on this. There are a lot of extras in this movie too.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the other thing I look at. That's with these. It's like, my God, how many people?
Yeah, I just kept thinking, rewatching this, like the wardrobe department was probably, so busy trying to weather all these uniforms and they were all with variations like that. I look for that a lot too in movies like this, like the touch of authenticity. Like, is one guy wearing something that looks like from a different regiment, and he's just kind of sucked into this platoon for this defensive action or whatever. Like, they should all have they're uniformed, but slightly different. And I felt like the wardrobe department is kind of like one of the unheralded stars. Some of the guys have combat netting that's ripped up. They feel like they did look like they were living in their uniforms. That was really good about this. And by the way, I saw an interview with Don Rickles, who I haven't really probably seen too much of Don Rickles' work. Casino, obviously. But was on the Tom Schneider show, and Tom Schneider was asking him about Kelly's Heroes. And he says, tell me about the cast. And he's like, and Don Rickles, of course, in his fashion, goes, well, it stars this young kid you may have heard of named Clint Eastwood. I had to carry him. But the rest of the cast did okay on that. And he did say he loved Telly Savalas. Everyone I've heard talk about Telly Savalas, as well as our firsthand friends who worked with him, loved Telly Savalas. Like
Yeah.
he was Mr. Vegas. Like he was the guy you would hope he would be. But he is like even Dean Stanton is well cast in this. He was well cast in a lot of things, but he's not Harry Dean Stanton yet. He's Harry Stanton,
Yeah.
right? But fantastic cast from top to bottom.
You ever think we would see Don Rickles like that?
Yeah.
Badass war shot, machine gun, that's Don Rickles. That was amazing.
Yeah. And Carol O'Connor is good in this.
Yeah.
As the general.
I love his robe that has the general. His bathrobe is a general's uniform. It's hysterical.
And he's like listening to the battle. He's listening to the battle reports on the radio, and he's like, listen to these guys. My God, this is how you win a war.
I think Pacino must have studied him because he was doing a lot of, we gotta do this. Get me that guy. Yeah. It was very, but when Pacino made that switch to Scent of a Woman, and all of a sudden he was this guy.
I was just thinking that a clip we had talked about popped up on the internet someplace in front of me, and I watched it, and it had a segment from Heat we were talking about where Pacino and De Niro are talking, and they're very low key, and it's really well delivered. It's really a well directed scene, I think. And then there was another scene that popped up in the algorithm, and it was when he was talking to Hank Azaria, and he does that complete shift of like talking in a normal voice, and then all of a sudden the surprise shouting Pacino comes out. And I was thinking that very thing, like when and why I think we know the win, Son of a Woman, but why do you think he stuck with that? Like that, he must like it, or doesn't it seem like a lot of work to match that, though? You have to match shouting in your takes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he does it.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, so getting back to what triggered this, obviously, is Kelly's Heroes.
So sorry. Then we were talking about kind of like how farcical it was.
Yeah.
But one of the scenes that got me that I remembered when I watched it as a kid is when they're crossing the minefield.
Right.
And one guy gets blown up, and it's really tense. And then you've got them crawling through, putting their knives in. And of course, Rickles, I got one. Well, then mark it. Move along. Blah, 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 blah. But as a kid, that was like a very realistic take on what the war seemed to be for me when I was a kid. It was like, okay, here's these guys walking through fields. You don't know where the bombs are. And all of a sudden they got to get that. Then that alerts the Germans down the road. And there's two guys left behind that can't make it. And in hindsight or whatever, I'd say why they didn't turn around and run back to the bush because they'd already come that way. They knew that part was clear. But they stay there, hunker down, and they get killed. And again, it was one of those, is this a war comedy? But then we've got these two guys that get shot down because their guys can't save them on time. And Telly takes that moment at the end to look over there and with sort of that weight of, is it worth it that we're losing guys to go enrich ourselves? But as the one guy said, we're getting shot at every day and no one cares. So if we get there and get.
So, so that's the question that the movie asks you at times. Is it worth it to enrich? Yes, it is, because you'd be risking your own life to hold some section of the line for a war that's getting worn out anyway. So I would think, let's go on the offensive and let's try to cash out of this. We're going to be cashed out when the war's over. Veterans Affairs. We might as well, let's light these guys up behind their lines, surprise them, burn a few regiments out and enrich ourselves. Of course, that's the play, right? That's what we're going to do. But it is good because Telly conveys a lot of emotion, and that's always a great way to shift gears in a script. I always love that mechanism of when you need to. Hey, conversation, humor, whatever, step on a landmine. Boom, sudden surprise, total shift in emotion. And the only thing I would always sort of convey that I hope people get right is make sure it happens in an area you can believe is mind. And there are areas that you think are mind and areas that would not be mind. But that's beside the fact. But you can always shift gears with a mind going off, suddenly killing a guy. And it's even more effective if you give him a moment to show he's beloved prior to him stepping on the mine. Like, here's a picture of me and my kids. I can't wait to get back home to Tennessee. And once I do, I'm going to go ahead and be the best father I can be. Boom, you're gone. Now the whole movie, the gravity of the movie shifts. So it's good. But I will say this, too. Not only does Telly express the right level of emotion there, Telly, like he's our bro, Mr. Savalas, but nobody smoked on screen like Telly Savalas. That guy is such a believable, like, exhaust pipe of smoke. Like, when he's smoking as Big Joe, you're like, dude, that guy strikes me as like a real sergeant. Like, this is the dude that's going to straighten everyone's ass out and move you forward. Totally believable.
And I noticed this in the first half of the movie. They cover up his finger. He's got the half finger.
Huh?
You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's got on his. I think it's his left hand. I think it's his left hand. He's got half a finger, and I did the research on it, and they said there's no definitive. It was either eaten. There's a story that was eaten off by a rat in his childhood, or he lost a portion of it in the Second World War. But they cover it up because like, you take my hands out, every scene, his hands will, like, the camera moves in, so just below where that finger is missing. But then later on, there's a couple scenes where they don't really cover it up, because I know that they did that with Radar, Gary,
right,
from MASH. He has no fingers on one of his hands, and you wouldn't be allowed in the military with that. That would have been got you out. So that's why Radar was always carrying something so that you couldn't see his hand. Like the fingers, he would have hold of something, and you wouldn't be able. You'd see his thumb, but you wouldn't see the back part. So they covered it, and they don't bother covering it up in Kojak. And I noticed in Kojak too, the amount of times he's got this great move every time. He does the face grab all the time. I love it because it's the big ponder, but never with the finger hand.
Something tells me that Kojak had it all figured out before he did the ponder expression. Like more so. I mean, obviously they're following a script, but I think, like, is he pondering who did it, or is he pondering when he's going to tell the person who did it that he knows? What is Telly Savalas really? It's just fun. One of those fun things of the show. Yeah, but there's a lot of great people in this movie.
Bellows when he bellows from his office.
Yeah. I also love that they decided to put in the Wild West standoff at the end, which ends really the most plausible way it can end, which is with the tank commander being like, wait, what's in this bank? Like, he's got the same mentality, like, fuck this. What am I holding this town for?
Cigarette?
No smoke. The fuel system is rotten. We have gasoline all over the place.
Sorry. Hey, look, Max, you and us, we're just soldiers, right? We don't even know what this war's all about. All we do is we fight and we die, and for what? We don't get anything out of it. In about a half an hour, the whole American army's gonna be coming down that road. Why don't you do yourself a great big fat favor, huh? And get the hell out of here?
I have orders. This bank isn't to fall into the hands of the American army.
Sergeant, this bank's not gonna fall in the hands of the American army. It's gonna fall in our hands. You see, we're just a private enterprise operation.
You, the American army.
No, baby, we ain't. You know what's inside that bank, man? There's $16 million worth of gold in that bank, sweetheart.
It's about 65 million marks.
And Sergeant, all you have to do to have an equal share of this money is crank this turret around and blow a hole in that door.
Probably going to be dead in 6 weeks, so let's get some
And they're
gold
like,
bars and go. What's that?
You've got the Clint Eastwood ultimate showdown. Like you just wanted to hear, because he steps out. He should have worn a poncho, and then you add to that Telly, who's just all raw Greek madness, and then you've got Jojo, the dog-faced boy, unclicking his revolver, and it's like there's no like that guy in a showdown. It's hysterical.
You know, Sutherland came down with meningitis working on this, and they stuck with him. They rushed him to a hospital in London, but they stuck. I mean, they shot this in Yugoslavia, so they airlifted him, but they stuck with him. And I do think, even though his performance feels out of place from a realistic point of view, it's still pretty fun to watch for me. It's like, I don't really care. I don't,
Yeah. It's the perfect example of this is perfect in a movie. That's a movie performance that you're going to never forget him.
Yeah, and he's got some good lines, and they cut a lot of this movie out. Like there's 20 minutes or more missing. So I don't know what was there of the original context, but he's good. His crew's good. Those actors clearly chewed the scenery just to the right degree. They don't overchew it. Well, you can make the argument that Sutherland does, but the rest of the guys, are kind of on his case. But everything else, I think, is played just the way it needs to be played. And they also have, characters opposite them. These infantry guys, really well cast. I don't have any problems with this movie. I mean, if you're looking for a realistic World War II movie, this is not it. But if you're looking for a fun one, I would say see Kelly's Heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were gonna remake this today, Ratchford would be cast in it.
I'd want to be Kelly.
Yeah, you'd be Big Joe.
Big Joe.
You were gonna say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I can't. The other thing, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but the other one that popped up my own, when they're giving the guys R&R in that house. And he's like, but there's no broads. There's no broads. Yeah. And then they end up coming back with movie canisters, which I could only assume were going to be naughty movies. And those are being held by
It's the priest, right? It's like the company chaplain who's got it, right? And I love that he's like, I want to make sure this thing, when I get back, this place better be decorated. And I want the bar set up. And it's like, he's doing his telliness. It's pretty.
Well, there lies it up because then Clint's like, I'm going to lead him, Joe, if you don't.
Yeah.
What are you going to lead him? I can't do that. Okay, Joe.
I mean, that's one of the better sequences in the movie, right? When they have to convince him to go along with it. And, they actually, in subtle ways, I think, set it up pretty good. Because earlier in the film, the ranking officer is like, refitting a captured boat. He wants like these guys, their head's not even in the war or in like the strategic outlook of how to protect the platoon. He's like trying to, I'm going to take this back with me to the States. You know, they're like already like the officers are doing their sort of power grab and swipe. So the enlisted guys that do all the fighting, it's realistic by the time it gets to them that they're like, well, look, if I'm going to get shot at, I might as well make a, you know, a couple $100,000 doing it. You know, I mean, I'm what's the difference? We fight the war from here, or we fight the war behind their lines, like a commando unit or like an SAS unit, and profit off it. It's Nazi gold anyway. And here's the thing: we know from like World War II documents that there was a shitload of looting, and a lot of governments claim to not know where some of that stuff ended up. So I'm all for the common man who's actually doing the fighting to getting a piece that protects himself. He's entitled to it. The common man wins out every time. If you're going to take the argument to me, fuck it. I mean, I would have needed a lot less convincing than Telly Savalas's character. You know, like he needs to be persuaded. I'd be like, I would already be in like when they came to convince me, like they would have already seen like a dust trail from a Jeep heading down the road. I'll be like looking back, like, what? Catch up with me. Where are you guys? We're doing this. You're not going to actually, you don't need to talk to me in a barn. We're already on our way. We're moving out tonight.
That's at the very beginning. Like it's like they're behind enemy lines and they've captured the German general.
Yeah,
but
somebody.
I gotta go back and look at it. Was Clint wearing an American GI helmet behind the wheel?
Right. Now, here's what I think. Either in the script or in the movie itself, there's a sequence prior to that, but they decided to open the movie there because he is sitting in an American Jeep and in an American uniform with a GI in the back, and they've got this guy. Now, I don't need to see how he's captured, but the fact that he's sitting in the middle of like a gridlocked German convoy, I'm sure there was a sequence somewhere that showed them getting into that mess to probably open the movie. I would suspect.
Because then they go to the barn.
Yeah. Well, he has to floor it out of town. Like he has to do like the kamikaze run through all these troops, and then he gets this guy, and they don't follow him. They don't. So he's got like an intelligence officer or somebody of note.
I think Stavros starts bombing him, and that's when he's going, "You're bombing our own position." So it's all bedlam. But then they get them back to the barn. Everyone's freaking out, trying to get out of there, backing the thing up, going up the walls. And then there's Clint going, I'm just going to stay here and have some whiskey with the general and get to the bottom. It's like, boom, boom, boom. Like there was no sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And then finally when they're like, we got to get out of here. Again, Clint kind of gets away. And then he sees the German general get taken out by his own guys, and that's when they get on their way. I also wanted to point out something I found interesting, and I don't know that we've ever really gone here.
We're going there now.
Updating to today, but there's that moment at the end when the German tank commander takes his gold and says, hey, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And he gives the Heil Hitler, and you cut to Clint, and it's like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
And the guy thinks of it, kind of goes, oops, sorry, gives a salute. And again, we're not really political, but I've been seeing political figures giving that salute lately, and everyone seems to not be taking it as seriously as at least it was back then. But it was sort of like, if I'm watching that movie with my kids, it's kind of like, oh yeah, you know what that salute meant? And now it's kind of being thrown away like, oh, it's not a big deal. Well,
no, I think we're in agreement. If you're a Nazi, you can go fuck yourself. But I think in the movie, it kind of works because it's probably the way he would have done it, and it also kind of shows in a sense that's over. Like,
Yeah.
that's done.
They come out of darkness, sometimes with thunder, sometimes with lightning. Their presence means death. The prison master was afraid of him. The guards were afraid of him. The town was afraid of him. Lucifer is coming for you. Rest easy, Jack Carr said in a low tone. You're in the final 30 seconds of your life. No quarter. No quarter. Kill all masters. Coming soon.
That's not done just here. That's done for you. Like it feels like when they get the gold, that the war itself is winding down to the point where it's just turning into ashes. And it's now becoming more of like an every man for himself scenario. Like, it's no longer about whether you can hold a town or a ridge or a crossroads. Now it's, can you just get home and hope your family is alive? So he probably has. It's a good change up when he does do that salute, and Clint gives him the look like, "Fuck you," and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. We're over it." And that actor was like the resident go-to Nazi for all those movies: Battle of the Bulge, Great Escape. You would think he was the one actor. What's that?
I pulled him up, and it was funny. I was like, "Oh yeah, you were it. You were the guy."
Yeah, I forget who we had the conversation with, but we talked about how Wolfgang Press was, Cat or Kurt, was it, God, who was it? Like, one of these famous Hollywood types made a career playing Nazis, but it escaped the regime to make it to Hollywood, only to play Nazis. And it might have been Bill Daly. We were talking about the gravity of that. Like, do you think he played those roles to show the evil that was happening back home? Or do you think he played those roles because he wanted just to work? Probably a combination of both. But he played those roles pretty consistently. And you kind of wonder, like, what? Like, but Wolfgang Press wasn't offered a lot of stuff outside of, like, the German general. He's the German fucking colonel or general. And in like 90% of the war movies, in like, from Raid on Rommel to The Longest Day to The Train to Bridge Too Far. He's always. So I guess you're happy for the work. On the other hand, you must be conflicted to a certain degree. I would think. I don't know.
Probably.
He's not here to answer.
I was asked to play a white supremacist, and I turned it down.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because I just find the heat around that. And as I kind of explained it to my team, it's like, one, I don't want to be a poster on their walls. Actually, this is kind of fitting. Was it the Thornbirds? We just lost Chamberlain, right?
We did this week. We lost Chamberlain and Val same week.
Oh yeah. The guy who played the Nazi was it the Thornbirds? Is that the miniseries?
There is a Thornbirds miniseries. I never saw it. Is there a Nazi in it?
Yeah, Chamberlain was in it. There's a Nazi in it. And he got the shit kicked out of him at a bar because people couldn't separate him from the character that he played.
Right.
So he was in a bar in America, and someone went, "Hey," and it's like, "Fuck you," and it's like, "Hey, that's a character I play." It's like, but he said it was like a real awakening for him, because it's like, wow, my buddy have a character, the guy that can't distinguish life from TV. Sort of like
people can't. Like, people think that's a myth, but I mean, who had a lot of trouble with that was a friend of mine, Kevin Gage, played Waingro in Heat, and he dealt with that all the time. Like, people thought he was Waingro when he'd go on location in these small towns or do like an appearance, and they could not separate the film Heat and his character from an actor playing a part. Just like the woman who was the bad girl on Little House of the Prairie would always tell the story. Yeah, Nellie. Legendary Hollywood villain. She would always tell the story about people throwing rocks at her car during the Christmas parade. because they thought she was this terrible person. And this doesn't seem real, right? In our context, like in our real world, but it is fucking real. It's like a real problem people have where they are attached to something and they cannot, I think they know, but they can't separate it. I don't know what to make of it. It's a weird phenomenon. Someone should study it. Someone probably has studied it.
Actually, you know what? I've been doing a deep dive. This is going to be all over the map, buddy, but I think it's important.
A deep dive. Tell me it's a deep dive on Little House on the Prairie, please.
Oh, I've been cleaning out a closet, so to speak, and finding all sorts of gems. But I found this. This was a letter I got when I was on Cold Case. And I saved it because this will show you. Dear Mr. Ratchford, we really used to like Cold Case until it got too black. A new cast member. Your disgusting affair. We need less blacks and more Hispanics and Asians. We'll no longer watch your low-class, tacky show. Signed, the Coens.
You know, I thought Joel and Ethan Coen have progressed. I am fucking ashamed that they're, you thought they learned something when making Raising Arizona and Fargo. Come on, guys. But in all seriousness, that is a fucking bullshit letter. Fuck you people.
But
That's
yes,
fucking embarrassing.
What gets me, someone got that riled up.
Yeah.
Took pen in hand, wrote it. That was handwritten, and mailed it to CBS to get to me. And you're gonna go, what the fuck is wrong with you?
So limited scope, limited mental scope to say the least, but I'm actually impressed that they could spell enough to actually sign their name to it. That's impressive. The other thing it reminds me of is our boy Andy Kaufman used to close out all his Letterman appearances by privately asking David Letterman to send him all the hate mail. Make sure I get all the hate mail. He loved the hate mail. He didn't like the compliments. He just wanted the hate mail. And that kind of reminds me of, but that's, there's a touch of tragedy to this where people are so worked up in what their entertainment is. And I would say, live a life, like become a human being. Who the fuck cares what's happening on a TV show? It's fun, but that is all it is. I mean, we talk Kojak, but we have to encourage people to have a real life around Kojak. Except when there's a marathon. Then fucking life goes on hold. But up until that time, fucking have a life. Like, who the fuck? And you sent, so where did this letter made it to CBS and made it to you? No one proofs out the mail, huh? No one, there's no security check on the mail?
It wasn't open.
Do you remember Larry? A lot of our friends were on Larry Sanders' show. Which was gold. I thought that was one of the best shows to ever hit TV. But there's that episode where his sidekick decides to embrace his Jewish faith because he's in love with a rabbi. So in order to win the rabbi's affection, he starts wearing the hat, and he starts wearing it on air. And Larry's like, "Hey, you've never done that." He's like, "Well, look, I'm proud of who I am, and I want the world to see my faith." And he has his grandstanding moment. He goes out there, and then the mail comes in, and in order to reinforce his belief in what he's doing, he asks to see it. And he's like, "Let's go through the mail. That'll make me feel better." And like the first letter has like this gnarly big swastika on it, and he's like, "Okay, how about this?" And he's like, maybe not that letter, maybe not that one, but it's just kind of someone should do a reality show just on fan mail, because it's fucking outrageous. It is so I mean, look at what the comments are online, and you can get a sense of like the padded room people live in mentally. It's ridiculous.
Is it Jamie Kennedy? Was he in Mask too?
I think so. Was he? That's probably a Warner Brothers. I should know that.
He did a documentary
on fan mail.
Yeah, and he went to their houses because one of them was like, Mask 2 is a piece of shit. And you should fucking die, and you should just. And he goes to the guy's house, and he's like, "Hey, if you didn't like the movie, that's one thing,
Right.
but I should die." Like, and because it wasn't just like, "Oh, you should die." It was like, "You should be beat up and done it." Like it was just like it was violent, and then here's this fucking schlub in the middle of nowhere. It's like, I would like to see more of that where people get called to the carpet.
I would too. It's so strange. I mean, it's weird the level of hate, right? Like the level of hate is out of bounds right now. And, it's like people attach anything with a personality who they have most often not met, but they will attach a level of hate that they want everything that personality is associated with to be destroyed or to sink. And who's got that kind of time? You see that a lot. Like right now, the hate Titanic is Snow White, and everyone hates this young actress. And I'm like, who gives a fuck what she says? Who gives a like if you hate the movie, you hate the movie, but move on. Like I think a lot of people hate because there's like this collective hate that they can also get in on. Like they're not even cutting edge in their hatred. They're like a bandwagon jumper of hate. Like you're not even in the original hate pack. Those guys are fucking bad enough, but you're a shill of a human being because you're just jumping. And I'm like, why? Why invest so much time into seeing or hoping someone fails? Who gives a fuck? They don't give a fuck about you. Look, we're way below that level and we don't give a fuck about you. Why do you care about them so much? Shit.
Snow White, if it's not my bag, it's not my bag.
Yeah.
But to whose bag it is, have at it.
Look,
the level of hate is.
This Snow White production was botched. This actress may be a fucking petty human being. That's where it stops with me. Beyond that, if you want to have a discussion about it, okay, but there is people who are on like a campaign of hatred and dismantling, and I'm just not sure it's entirely a good investment of your life or the time you have on your life clock, so to speak. Like I don't really get it. Like what you were looking at is a letter that someone saw a cold case, hated what they saw, and then actually took the time to compose and send a letter. You don't fucking count. Your letter doesn't count. Why the fuck are you doing it? Do you honestly think someone's going to read your fucking first grade level educated letter and think, we better make a change, guys? Look, we got a letter here. Someone get Les Moonves on the phone right now. Les, I hate to break it to you. We got a letter from Dogshit Bluffs, Missouri. They don't like this relationship, so I say we pull the plug on it immediately. Like, what the fuck? Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's okay. But really, a letter? We're going to write a letter?
I try and break it down on different levels, but again, we're talking about that hate. All I could think about was all the food you could not enjoy.
Right.
If you got that level of racism, then every bit of food is going to have some sort of ethnic flair to it. It's going to come from somewhere. Unless we forget what back in the 1920s, the Italians were on the head of the Ku Klux Klan hate list. It's and I just think everything is going to be associated with your hate. And that's where, oh man, what the fuck are you doing on this planet then?
Yeah, what are you all worked up about? It's like, what the fuck? Like, what went so horribly, tragically wrong in your life that you need to be motivated day to day, minute to minute with this much hate? Because guess what? None of us give a fuck what you think or what you feel.
Yeah.
So you're not hurting anybody except yourself.
Yep.
Like we learned a long time ago, those of us that can survive entertainment only do so because guess what? We don't really give a fuck about you. We don't give a fuck what you think. If we worried what people think, we would be second guessing every decision we made every day, creatively, business wise. We do what we feel is best. We try to be the best human beings we can be, and we try to make the world around us the best place it can be. That's what we do. Fuck you if you don't like it. Fuck off. Ridiculous. So get to the next hate letter. Back to Kelly's Heroes and the ultimate gold heist, World War II. Clint Eastwood. If you don't lead him, Joe, I will. Remember when they used to do Channel 5 used to do Squint with Clint week? And you'd have five. You'd have 5 or 6. Well, you're from Canada, so you probably missed it. But when we were kids, Channel 5 would have Squint with Clint week, and it would be like 6 Clint Eastwood movies in a row at 8 o'clock at night. Every night of the week. A lot of times it was the softer ones, so it'd be like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, or Any Which Way But Loose, or some of the more Bronco Billy.
Sorry,
Maybe not.
That up.
Maybe that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm thinking or at the Gauntlet or something like that. Or Kelly's Heroes always made the list. We did the Gauntlet. Yeah, we did the Gauntlet with your boys, the Nelms.
My son, I can't remember how old he was now. COVID's kind of but I think he must have been around 10. Could have been anywhere from 8 to 10. But all of a sudden, he turns to me and he would do this. He did it when he was a kid at one point. He came in to my room when he was 4. I have it recorded somewhere, but he goes, he did this Quint monologue from Jaws, like, I'll catch him. I'll catch him for 5 and I'll kill him for 10. For 10, you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And at one point, he turns to me and he goes, he got into Clint, and he did the mule speech. Well, you made my mule upset, so you're going to have to apologize to her. And he came in and did that one. And again, these are those moments I can't tell you. Well, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's 3 or 4 of those spaghettis. I can't tell you what the theme was, but I can give you his Clint speeches from those movies.
One of the things Clint has done in later years is talk real fondly about Sergio Leone's shrewdness during a movie shoot. And one of the stories that comes to mind with what you're saying is him talking about Fistful of Dollars, where they had no money and they needed a crane. And De Laurentiis had a production right down the road. I think they were shooting in Spain, but right down the road, De Laurentiis had a crane. But the government said you can't work on this day. It's a religious holiday. So Sergio Leone puts in an exemption saying, well, we're a Jewish production. So the government said, okay, then you can work. So they were able to work, and he called De Laurentiis and be like, can we rent your crane for one day, this day? And of course, De Laurentiis is like, yes, we're not allowed to work that day. And I guess Laurentiis didn't put it together, but, or whoever the production key was, but it was funny because it's like Leone, the ultimate Italian guy, is like, no, we're a Jewish production. I need your crane for one day. And Eastwood had a lot of fun stories about, like at one point he wanted a tree for a shot and there was no trees. And so he sent like a grip out to cut a tree down from this guy's yard. And the guy was like, hey, that's my tree. What are you doing? And the grip was told to say, look, I'm with the official government landscaping department, AOC or something. This tree is out of line and out of whack with our ordinance, so we're taking it down. So he cut it down and dragged it. Like stories like that are like obviously creating a lot of havoc, but pretty funny. And Eastwood has been sort of the last, I think, doorway to Leone that we have. Milius knew him, but obviously Eastwood worked with him repeatedly until he decided he was not going to again because he almost got killed. But, Leone, definitely a interesting filmmaker. I love those spaghetti westerns. I don't like a lot of Leone's other work, but, and I know that's sacrilegious because people fucking get furious about me or get furious at me for saying that. But I'm not the biggest fan. Outside of I love the four movies, the four real westerns he was known for. I think those are all really good.
Have you seen the cat meme?
No.
It's one of the standoffs. So you got Lee Van Cleef, you got Clint, obviously, and then
Wallach.
oh God, who?
Wallach? Isn't it Wallach that's in there?
Yeah, well, yeah. So they have that, the close up, and they're looking this way, they're looking that way, and it's just right up on the eyes, and they add a cat. So they add a cat into it, and the cat's looking that way and looking that way, and it's just the beautiful tribute. It's hysterical.
So funny. So funny. All those guys are gone. Hey man, so we lost both Val Kilmer and Richard Chamberlain this week. Seemed like 2 weeks ago we lost Hackman. The greats are fading into the distance. They're fading into the darkness. But do you have a Richard Chamberlain recommendation?
Yeah, well, we did it.
The women are gone. We are going next.
You've all got numbers. And you're gonna take your turn. And if it's any consolation, I'm going to be the last one out of here, along with my son-in-law.
Robert? It's out of control. And it's coming your way. You got about 15 minutes. Now, they want to try something. They want to blow those water tanks 2 floors above you. They think it might kill the fire.
How are they going to get the explosives up here?
Oh, they'll find some dumb son of a bitch to bring it up.
Hang on, I'll tell him.
I want to try to put out the fire by blowing up the water tanks above us.
It can mean a lot of water and steel and concrete, but if they don't try it, we're all going to burn. The fire's out of control below us. They figure we got maybe 15 minutes. This way, some of us might survive. We got no options.
Come on. Let's go. Get that line. Get off! Hold it, bastard! Get off this line! Let go of me! Get off the line! It's not gonna work! Oh! It won't hold everybody! Get off! Get off! Get out of there! Get the hell out of there! Go! On! Help! Help! Get off!
To get people out of a burning building.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm cringing just thinking about it. I know it's all done on a stage, but man, that sequence is one of the best. And it's interesting that we gravitate to that moment in Chamberlain's illustrious career because he was such a good actor and did so many things in so many movies right, including television too. Shogun. I would say his performance in Shogun was like a paramount performance at the time, but obviously like Three Musketeers. I mean, I just saw him the other night in The Man in the Iron Mask. He is so good at that. I'm like the drunk, never fully accepted son-in-law who now is people are pointing the finger at for getting this building condemned. And I've had it. I'm getting out of here. I'm going to live. And he just makes the jump on the chair of death and kicks like Robert Vaughn, Magnificent Seven, is like hanging on to it. Like, no, you're not. It gets kicked off and like drops down the. Oh my God, the death scenes in that movie. Towering Inferno is not a boring watch, people. If you haven't seen it, give yourself an afternoon. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's full of, yeah, there's a couple of stunt people jumping out windows like this, so you don't see that they're the stunt guys. But man, that movie, for me anyway, it keeps me going. It keeps me interested. So that's my recommendation for Richard Chamberlain would probably be the Michael York, Richard Chamberlain, Frank Finley, Oliver Reed version of Three Musketeers. That's probably, or Shogun. I mean, you really can't go wrong. Chamberlain's really good and everything. I don't think he never phoned it in. The guy never phoned it in that I've witnessed. He was always pretty dedicated. But now for Val Kilmer, you have a Val Kilmer recommendation. Did you ever work with Kilmer?
No.
When I was at Warner Brothers, he was seen as difficult. Regrettably,
well,
now we're talking.
Someone said if they were doing a biopic of Val Kilmer, they wouldn't hire Val Kilmer for his own biopic.
Yeah. Regrettably,
I did watch that documentary that he took himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any personal stories. He kind of, I think, fit into a category for me early on, because he wasn't the youngest kid at Juilliard, and he was very, very cerebral.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
He's a very smart guy, and I think he had an insane amount of success really early. And I think for some people, if you get too much too fast,
yeah,
and you don't have any other plans, you kind of realize, I've done it all in 3 years. I was the super genius or whatever it was. Like, he was at the top, and when you're at the top of a mountain, there's only one way to go, unless you have another plan to follow us. So I think that can all of a sudden make you go a little crazy. I think the same thing happened with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey had the world. He was on top of the mountain, and it's just kind of like, now what? And then you see how he's discovered art, and it's like, oh, okay, so he found an outlet to go with it. I don't know if Val ever had an outside outlet, but for me, my favorite performance of his is Willow. I remember Willow, watching that one. Whenever that came out, it was a perfect kind of age for me. I thought, is it Joanne Wiley? Oh God, I had a crush on her.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
You want to hear
she's actually an underappreciated actress too. I liked the movie a little more than I did, but it was popular. Did you see where Warwick Davis on Life's Too Short brought Kilmer back? So,
oh God, no.
Willow. 25th anniversary year this year, and we have a Blu-ray to celebrate. And
25 years ago.
Wouldn't believe it, would you? Look at us now.
No. You were just a wee one back then.
17 years old.
17 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now?
Now I'm 43. But I think we've sort of matured like a good wine. Look at us. Look at us there. It's a movie that's remembered very fondly by a lot of people, though.
It is, still.
You find people say, man, Mardigan.
Can't go through an airport without someone saying, peck, 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 peck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the most common thing people say to me, actually.
Really?
You started that.
That's because that's what you were.
Years of abuse started by you.
That was a lot of fun.
Saying peck.
Yeah.
So what's your overriding memory of Willow? Just think about it and use my name in this story if you like.
It's you, Warwick.
Thank you.
So much love and heart. You were what inspired Peter Jackson's career. Aren't you? That's what you said to me earlier in the trailer. That Willow inspired
I don't think
the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be in it though, Peter.
Yeah. We were there first, though.
We were there first. We started all that, didn't we?
And New Zealand. We filmed in New Zealand.
Yeah, we started that.
It was a lot of fun.
He was just following in our tiny footsteps.
Yeah, the producer was George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Never hear about him anymore. Sort of faded.
Right, extra features on here.
Yes.
Okay, we've got deleted scenes with Ron Howard.
Who's in it?
The making of an adventure with Ron Howard.
From Mort to Morphine.
With Dennis Muren. So
Willow, an unlikely hero.
Yeah, now keep going.
That's
Personal
you.
video diary of Warwick Davis. Now that's the feature to die for. That's never been out there.
Did you
before.
video?
Remember, I had my camera. You kept doing stuff.
You know what I
It's all in here.
remember? It was the size of your torso.
Pardon?
It was a giant back then, like cell phones.
Oh, my torso.
Huge.
Yeah, there was a big old camera, wasn't
Yeah.
it? I looked like a little sort of mini news team.
I'd like to see that.
It's on there. It's all on there.
You don't call, you don't write.
That show was so underappreciated. So Warwick Davis is working the convention circuit, and one day Val Kilmer calls him and he wants to have lunch. So he says, "Well, listen, I've been talking to George Lucas and something to this effect." He's like, "I've been talking to Ron Howard and George about Willow 2." And of course, Warwick Davis is like, "Really? Like, we're going to get to work like any actor, you know?" And he's like, yeah. In fact, he's like, I've got a script being... Anyway, Val Kilmer slid into this very Willow-esque kind of like, you know, the cheap movie-making persona, the desperate con guy hanging onto his... very well. And I'm actually glad that episode exists. I mean, if you've ever watched Life Too Short, everyone shows up on it. Johnny Depp, you know, everyone pops it. Liam Neeson. So, of course, Val Kilmer shows up because he wants to do Willow too. It's pretty funny stuff, man. See that? Maybe that's my off the track. Everyone knows Top Gun, Tombstone, Real Genius. You got all those, Top Secret. But the Val Kilmer episode of Life's Too Short, that's what I would recommend people look at in his memory.
I would say my favorite movie of his would be Willow. My favorite performance of his is obviously Doc Holliday. That was unfucking believable. He was beautiful.
He was good in it. He was real good in it. You know, he delivered the goods. I mean, I worked in Building 81. Joel Schumacher was in that building. Schumacher had some famous things to say about him. So did the Batman Forever crew. And obviously Kilmer did suffer because of it. You know, he got curb checked pretty hard at one point, career-wise. But, you know, looking back at the man as an artist and what he gave us movie-wise, television-wise, you know, some fun stuff there, man. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. And Richard Chamberlain. I wanted to interview Richard Chamberlain. We never got around to it. He lived in Hawaii. But I would have loved to have interviewed Richard Chamberlain. Talk about a guy that could gracefully... He is the most graceful talker. Like, he could complete a sentence. Like, Patrick Stewart is kind of on par with how Chamberlain would be. I was watching The Man in the Iron Mask, and there's a line where they're trying to get him as the King of France to sign some document releasing a prisoner that's going to bring down the entire French government, and they're trying to slide it under the radar with him. You know, he's got his quill, and so he's like, "Wait a minute, what is this document, if I may ask?" And he's like, "Well, this is the honorary," and it's opposite Ralph Richardson, another great Shakespearean legend. He's like, "This is the honorary pardon of a prisoner we do yearly, Your Majesty, to show that you believe in the people's sense of retribution and that at some point they can rebuild their lives. And through forgiveness, the art of forgiveness and pardoning of a prisoner, they become more enthralled with your leadership. And Richard Chamberlain's like right there going, "You are very shrewd, Chevalier." Just like but every syllable is like pronounced properly.
Yeah.
It's like you're just like that is a Shakespearean actor right there. Like he can. You're very shrewd, Chevalier. Perhaps, shall I say, too shrewd? You know, like, does he suspect something? Does he not? Anyway, little moments like that make up the great movie that make up the great moments that make up the great movie. So God bless him. Final thoughts, buddy? Kelly's Heroes is a recommendation.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you seen White Buffalo yet?
No, I haven't. I gotta get to it. I've been
YouTube.
cleaning the house. So I'll try and get to that this week.
I've been cleaning house. No, dude, my sock drawer is not organized yet. I haven't seen White fucking Buffalo, Ethan. I still gotta sweep up. It's on YouTube, but go ahead. Final thoughts.
Yeah, Kelly's Hero, must watch.
Yeah.
Great Second World War epic heist movie with
For sure.
brilliant performance.
There has got to be an effort to reboot this. I am sure there's a script floating around somebody somewhere. We're just too unoriginal in this town. You know, the studios, Lionsgate, somebody is probably, can we do Kelly's Heroes again? But we want it with like Chris Hemsworth. And who would you get to play Crap Game or Oddball? You know?
I don't even anymore.
It's been talked about. Have you seen the studio, by the way?
No, not yet.
Oh, dude. I don't know whether to laugh or to cry watching it because it's really, it really hits close to home for any of us who ever worked at a major studio. But, you know, once the guys got the job to run the studio, Bryan Cranston is like the Robert Evans type. And he's like, look, we have bought what could be $1 billion IP. Kool-Aid. And he's like, what, the punch drink? He's like, yes. Think of it as our version of Barbie. Go out and make me a Kool-Aid movie. You know, so of course, now for people at home, they're laughing at that, but we've been in conversations that aren't too far from that. That is, you know, that are very, very unfortunate, frighteningly similar. And of course, at the same time, Scorsese shows up and he wants to do a Jonestown movie. And what killed everyone at Jonestown? Kool-Aid. So, of course, he's trying to connect the dots. Going, can we call your movie, Marty, Kool-Aid? And he's like, yes. So he has to report he's hired a director because he's going around. And they shot some of it at the Smokehouse, I think, if I remember right. And he's trying to pitch it to directors and agents. Like, can we get him to do Kool-Aid? And they're like, fuck you. We're not doing Kool-Aid. It's Guillermo del Toro. He's got an Oscar. We're not directing Kool-Aid. You know, and so he can't attach a director. Not a director that would get his boss's approval. He could put a director on it in a minute if he really needed to, of course. But so he finally goes, I've got Martin Scorsese for the Kool-Aid movie, but it's a Jonestown Massacre movie. So he's got to try to, anyway, see it. I'm not giving you too much away. It's, and thank you for being you, Jeremy Ratchford. And if you're listening to this, we apologize, but we care more about you than we let on. We just don't care about these motherfuckers who write this fascist hate mail to our friends in the business, working overnight to generate entertainment for you. Fucking grow up. Anyway, that's that. Anything else?
No, that's it. I got to fly, my brother. Love you.
Signing off. Love you back, buddy. We'll speak soon.
Is this okay? Hi, my name is David Pasquesi. You may recognize me from television program or motion picture, or not. NMOSD is a central nervous system disorder, and it's pretty brutal. You can help. Go to GuthyJacksonFoundation.org and donate today to help them find a cure. GuthyJacksonFoundation.org.